Hi. Many people have asked about the story behind Kingslayer as part of our Great Scots range of beers, with the other three historical characters being much better known. I mean, as you're probably aware, we've got Warrior Queen at the top there. That is based on Mary Queen of Scots, who was imprisoned locally in Lochleven Castle, shown behind me here in the image. We've got Outlaw King, named after Robert the Bruce, who was buried just down the road in Dunfermline Abbey. We've got Shining Knight, based on Andrew Carnegie, the great philanthropist and industrialist who was born in Dunfermline before moving to America. And then there's Kingslayer. So what's the story behind Kingslayer? Well, many of you will be disappointed to learn that it's got nothing whatsoever to do with Jaime Lannister's Kingslayer in Game of Thrones. It's actually a bit of fun on my part. It's named after one of my ancestors, Gabriel Montgomery, who back in 1559 was captain of the Garde Écossais, or the Scots Guard, who were the personal bodyguards to King Henry II of France. Now, many of you will be aware of the term the Auld Alliance, and that was an alliance signed back in 1295 between Scotland and France, really as a result of both countries facing countless invasions from England. Now, under the terms of that alliance, both countries promised to respond in the event of the other being attacked. But the resulting close relationship between France and Scotland resulted in the year 1418 with the establishment of a new special military unit made up of Scottish soldiers by King Charles VII of France, and this unit was to be the personal bodyguard of the French monarch. And the Scots Guard served a succession of French monarchs during the ages. Now move forward again now to 1559, and Gabriel Montgomery was captain of the Garde Écossais. His boss, King Henry II, or Henri II, had organised a big tournament to take place near the Place des Vosges, which is a swanky part of Paris, to commemorate the signing of a peace treaty between France and the Habsburgs of Austria, and also to celebrate the forthcoming marriage of his daughter to King Philip II of Spain. Now, as the tournament progressed, the king got bored, I think, watching all the knights of the realm battle it out in front of him, and he decided that he wanted to have a go himself, and he turned to Gabriel as captain of his bodyguard and told him that he wanted to joust against him. Now, by all accounts, Gabriel was far from enamoured by the whole idea of taking on his boss in a joust and the risks that that would entail, but the king was having absolutely nothing of it. One little bit of trivia, as the king mounted up for the joust, he decided to wear the colour, it was a bit of a whiff of royal scandal, because he decided to wear the colours of his mistress, Diane de Poitiers, rather than those of the Queen, Catherine de Medici. Anyway, that's by the by. When the joust took place and the king and Gabriel Montgomery clashed together, Gabriel's lance splintered against either the shield or the armoured breastplate of the king, and a fragment went up through the visor of his golden helmet, in through his eye and into his brain. Now, the king didn't die immediately of this wound. In fact, it was only when sepsis set in that he died 10 days later on the 10th of July 1559. But while he lay on his deathbed, he absolved Gabriel of any blame for this accident. Queen Catherine de Medici, however, was much less forgiving, and Gabriel had to vamoose pretty sharpish, and eventually ended up in England, where Queen Elizabeth I had to ignore various requests from Catherine de' Medici to extradite Gabriel back to France to face trial. Now, Nostradamus, who you'll have heard of, claimed to have prophesied or predicted the way that King Henry II would die. He actually wrote the following words: "The young lion shall overcome the older one, on the field of combat in single battle. He shall pierce his eyes in a golden cage, two forces one, then shall he die a cruel death." And it's actually that prediction that arguably, many people argue, propelled Nostradamus to fame in the first instance. Now, to tie up a few loose ends, Catherine de' Medici she certainly knew how to hold a grudge, because when Gabriel eventually went back to his estate in Normandy 14 years later, he was promptly captured, dragged off to Paris and beheaded, and his title and estates were forfeited. But it's a bit of fun for us to think that we've got regicide running in the family and an ancestor who actually killed a French king. So that is the story behind our great Scots Kingslayer. It's our gold medal winning Scottish ale. Thank you for listening.